Hello, and welcome to the Skeptic's Lens podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to examine and debunk supernatural, theistic, or dogmatic ideas through the lens of a skeptic. Now we pass it off to Tom for a recap of why this isn't troll on trial. The purpose of this podcast is to examine and debunk supernatural.
So, as I'm sure many of you are aware, we do another show called Troll on Trial. We had to postpone it last week, and we're not able to do it this week because basically the idea of the show was it was never supposed to stagnate on one topic. We wanted to do lots of different things, and we were trying to do something a little different, but due to unforeseen circumstances, both last week and this week, we can't go ahead with it, which is annoying, but whatever. We might do it next week if we can figure it out. So in order to not give you nothing, we set up this very impromptu, could fail at any moment, podcast where we're just going to watch and debunk some silly videos. I've got my audio set up. It might not work great. Video setup is a bit janky, but it should work okay. And it's sort of, we might get a theist on as well at some point. But for now, we're just going to watch some funny videos from theists and the such like and make fun of them.
Very nice, very nice. So who is our first video YouTuber that we're going to examine?
I think we start strong with the strongest theist there is, Hello Henzo.
Hell is our choice.
As you heard, hell is our choices. Let me just share that. All right, here's Heleno, ladies and gentlemen. This beautiful man.
Hey, just stop complaining about hell, man. Hell is our choices.
I don't
He
complain
sounds
about
like
hell.
Randall from fucking Beowulf.
I don't know that reference.
Oh, too bad.
Okay. I know some editions of Beowulf, but not that one.
It has nothing to do with God.
Hell has nothing to do with God, folks. You heard it here first.
God is love. He's just granting your wishes.
God is love, according to which book? Because I think the Bible might disagree with you there, Heleno.
Well, maybe your
Well,
master
hell-
is below pain.
Yeah, and the ultimate death of the golden rule, do unto others as you would do unto yourself, is the masochists.
You're gonna get hell. You don't want to be with him. He's life. If you don't want him, you're not gonna have life.
I'm alive and an atheist.
You're not gonna be in his presence. You're gonna be in the presence of Satan. Hell is our choices.
Satan honestly sounds a lot cooler than God.
It's not God's choices. God doesn't want hell for us.
How's that not
It's not-
God's choice? He controls everything,
why-
does he not?
That's why he made it, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to be omniscient,
Doesn't
and
want
yet
it.
it's not his choice.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure he could fucking create something to deter us from doing evil thing, except for the threat of eternal torture. Empty threat, mind you. Do I need to reset my audio again?
Yeah.
How's that? Is that better?
Nope.
Oh shit. Is it the crackling that was happening last time, or is it the low res?
I think low res.
Well, the only way I fixed that last time was by reconnecting to the call. Is it audible? Can you hear the guy?
It's somewhat audible. I'm having problems hearing it. I don't know what people are hearing on the other end of this.
Yeah, well, that's just what it works out.
But he's granting your wishes. You want hell, you're gonna get hell. Instead, complain about hell. Stop sinning.
It's that simple, folks. If you want hell, you're going to go to hell. So just don't want hell. That's the instant solution.
Live a godly life. Say no to worldly passions. Simple as that. This is how mercy this God is.
How can you live without worldly passions? Like everything, even going to heaven is a worldly passion. It's the same reason that you would go to like an expensive house if you could afford to.
To actually give you option?
Yeah, the chat saying your audio sucks.
To be fair, the chat sucks.
Okay,
Audio is a
then.
bit wonky. No, well, I mean, the chat's probably right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a disappearing act. Ready?
Oh, damn, he left. Shit. How do I entertain this live? Oh, well, he's back.
This is my reappearing act.
All right, your audio's good so far.
Good. Just wait 5 minutes for it to break again.
Probably 2.
The word impromptu was used for a reason, ladies and gentlemen.
This God is horrible. To put me in a position that I'm never going to be able to pay the debt. He keep on granting me wishes, keep giving me things, keep giving me option.
Giving
He
him
doesn't
wishes?
even owe me a breath.
Huh?
Did he say he's giving him wishes?
Yeah, I think what he's saying is that God's answering his prayers, therefore God's good, and we shouldn't be so disheartened with his existence. Like,
I wonder if he's got a 100% prayer success rate like G-Man.
It baffles me how people can, with proper consideration of their own faculties, believe that their prayers are being answered. Like, all they're doing is saying something that would happen anyway, or is so outlandish they don't really expect it to happen. And then
Well, it's like
when
he
it
doesn't know
happens
our meaning.
anyway, it's so
like an
simple
8-ball.
that, you know, they just make it to be that when someone says like, yeah, they imagine yes or no in their head and they think it's God. G-Man's mind would fascinate me.
Yeah.
When will I be able to pay God for all he has done? This God is horrible.
What, did he drown
This
the
guy's
universe? Or did he
wrong.
drown the fucking world? And everyone in it?
That is true.
To a point of giving us option?
Yep. He gives us an option like Highwayman says, your money or your life. You got a choice.
Love
And just
me or
like,
burn in hell for eternity.
Yep. Or, you know, be an atheist and actually neither of them happens.
He doesn't own us anything. To even give us option of hell or heaven, life or death.
What?
Why God own us? Why God is keep on making my debt to him so huge? I'm never going to be able to pay him.
Yeah, Helena likes God's huge thing. Sorry, huge debt. Speaking of which, Heleno's a real fan of homosexuality, as evidenced by this video.
Homosexuality, and right, so was diagnosed as some kind of mental issue. And right, so like I said, let me give you guys a logical and factual evidence
Yes,
for you
logic
to
and
judge
facts. That's what
on
we're
your
looking for.
own.
Yeah, logic and facts is what we're going to find with Helena Henzo.
For you to reach the conclusion or not if homosexuality is a mental illness or not.
Okay, he's going to give us evidence and facts for the argument that homosexuality is a mental illness. I'm sure this guy is a seasoned psychologist. I'm sure he's a consummate expert in this. I'm sure he's read the DSM, all the DSMs, which I'm pretty sure all of them state that it's not a mental illness. Like that was ended in like the 70s.
anyone who thinks homosexual is suitable
This guy's a massive faggot, though.
for rational being has to have some kind of mental issue.
That's right. If you think homosexuality is suitable for a rational being, you have to have a mental issue. So all this guy's former boyfriends have mental issues. He definitely has a mental issue.
I'm going to give you guys one logical and factual evidence.
Okay, let's hear it.
Is human body designed for homosexuality?
It's not designed. Thanks for coming, Helena.
Is homosexuality abuse of the body?
Depends on what the body wants.
Anyone who thinks homosexuality is okay, natural,
It
does
happens
that
in nature
person
all the
have
time.
or not?
How
Sorry?
can it not be natural? Like anything that isn't
Yeah.
natural will be supernatural, and I'm pretty sure they're not supernatural. So yes, they are very
Yeah.
natural.
Well, let's be fair to him. I think he means natural more in the sense of like nature versus man-made. And in his eyes, everything in nature is godly, and everything, and like most of the stuff that's man-made is not.
Yeah, but there's
So-
plenty of animals that are homosexual.
That's the argument that remains.
You're breaking up again. Yeah, you're gone, I think. Or I'm gone. I don't know which one.
I'm fucking sitting next to the router, and I still get disconnected.
That's shitty.
How badly can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's keep it going. Anyway, yeah, when I cut out, I think I said after I cut out, yeah, 10% of ducks are gay. So it's very natural.
Some kind of ambition. A person who thinks anus is a sexual organ, any person who uses anus
Yeah, it's
sexually,
choppy as fuck. I can't even understand it.
All right. I'll fix that.
Oh, goody. All right, let's see what the chat is saying. Defend your clam. Yeah, we're trying to. Oh, this guy's not worse than AIU, by the way. I don't think this guy's ever doxed anyone. Hit me up on chess.com. Is that some sort of like backdoor gay fucking website? And can't hear shit again. Hello. There, Tom. Well, this is turning into a pile of shit. All right, search the chat again. Yes, shit does happen. Yeah, we're trying to get a Christian on later, but people didn't really like the title of Troll and Trials. That's why it was so hard to actually get a respectable guest to come on. That's why we kind of changed the name and the rules of the show. So hopefully we can start getting theists on. You there? Hello, Tom. Hello, Tom. Shit. All right, well, I don't think that this is going to be working out. So we might just fucking call it as a fail. Are you there, Tom? Hello. Can the people in chat hear me? Am I audible? Okay, yeah.
Okay,
I
there
can
we go.
hear you.
I reconnected twice and it didn't actually work. Sorry, folks, my internet's a piece of shit. I'm sitting right next to my router in the same room. It's really unreliable. I think I need to get a new router, actually. If it fails again, I might just restart the router. We'll have a 5-minute break and then come back and try again. All right, let's...
If it happens again, I don't know how many times we're going to keep on fucking reconnecting.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, let's try going through this more.
All right, then. See what other gems Helena's got for us.
Is this person even suitable to be compared to animals? No, I grew up among animals. I never saw one.
He grew up among animals. How does that not surprise me? Like, this guy is a wild man. Guy grew up in the wild. He looks like it. I think, actually, a little bit of backstory on this guy. I think I'm right in saying he lives on a small island. And he probably grew up in, like, a barn, raised literally by farmyard animals. He's probably got, like, a really abusive and often absent single father who's drunk a lot, and is very heavily Christian, and most of the community is as well. And they're like really fucking backwards. This is just some armchair psychology, and I'm actually in an armchair, so it's fitting. Let's continue.
Use anus sex organ.
Okay then. Oh, that wasn't. Never mind.
Animals don't use anus sex organ.
Yeah, they do.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do all the fucking time. You just don't
Also,
hang out
humans
with
are animals. Helen had like a really harrowing experience as a young child where he saw two of his farmyard animal family bugging each other in the arse, and that's just stuck with his whole life. And now he's got like several videos on pretty much the exact same topic. And when I debated with them on Twitter, it was usually this. It was usually like all caps. You think homosexuality is normal? They use anus as sex organ. Like, he's pretty addicted to this topic.
Because they know it's not a sex organ. Even animals knows homosexuality is wrong.
No, they don't.
Animals don't get sperm swimming feces. See what's happening? We have people acting worse than animals.
Worse according to you? I mean, humans build kind of more impressive structures than animals do. If humans want to fuck each other in the arse in those structures, who are you to stop them?
I know. I've never seen an animal commit genocide before, so.
That's true. That's true. Animals don't dox each other either.
People who comes to
I hear there might be some in Australia that do, actually.
my channel. Try to compare, try to say that animals are homosexuals. Actually making
Oops.
Little fast.
they're not rational beings. They live on instinct. They do, they kill, they
Okay, so the rational argument for why homosexuality is wrong.
they murder, they can even be homosexual. If you see a
Predicting himself now. He's saying that some animals are homosexual, or at least that they can be. And only he said that they're not.
be a homosexual, that pig is doing something unnatural. It's about
You can't do something that's not natural.
Well, I mean, that is a fallacy, the naturalistic fallacy that he's using there. So, but yeah, I mean, if a pig was flying, we wouldn't say it was morally wrong. We'd just say that that was like, that should be impossible. Homosexuality does not fall into the same category.
Mhm.
It was not designed to fly or be a homosexual. Stop it.
They weren't designed at all. I mean, is this video intended just for Christians?
Yeah, just
usually
on the
he addresses
basis that we
atheists.
already know we're right, we're going to disprove this point.
Well, he's presupposing that animals are designed. It's amazing that like some people are literally 150 years behind modern science. I mean, it doesn't surprise me with this guy because look at him. But you know, a lot of other people.
Using animals as role model. And I understand why people is using animals as a role model, because some people is living worse than animals.
Thanks for the demonstration, Henry. Let's find another video. That one later. I have some here that I downloaded for some videos, but we can do them now.
Yeah, why not?
Let's have a look at this one.
Hey guys, it's Justin with you once again. I know it's been a little while since I've made any videos or anything here on YouTube, so I figured I'd just lay out the questions and try to communicate a little bit to the atheist audience out there, the community here on YouTube. I just figured that I'd like to get into your minds a little bit more, see where you're currently at.
Sexy.
Try to understand your thought process and why it is you do not believe in God, and what has drawn you to where you're currently at, into picking up the name.
Same reason you don't believe in Zeus is why I don't believe in Yahweh.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a little more than that though, because when it's prevalent in society, and the only defenses people have of it are either dishonest or fallacious, or based on falsehoods, that actually accelerates the process. Like, I don't disbelieve in Zeus as vehemently as I disbelieve in Yahweh or the divinity of Jesus. Intellectually it's equal, but on some other level it's greater for those.
This can be for agnostics as well, but this is more specifically to the atheist community out there. So I just have 5 questions I wanted to ask, and wanted for you guys to answer those. Anyway, the first question is why are you guys why are you an atheist? I'm sure that you guys have put a lot of thought, energy, and thinking behind.
It's kind of a softball question. Maybe he's just trying to understand people a bit more. I watched some of this video, but not a lot of it.
I'd say, when you gain perspective on everything, when you realize that the only reason why you believe in Christianity, for example, is because people around you believe in it and you're indoctrinated to believe it, and it's actually no different from any other theology. They are all pretty much on an equal footing. They all have the same evidence to support it. So once you debunk one, you've debunked them all.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of them have slight differences. Some things that are different, like in Buddhism, the whole reincarnation thing, that's not present in many other religions, or at least none of the other modern major world religions. So that's kind of a different thing, but it's still a supernatural belief. It's still a matter of like, give me evidence or give me atheism.
Why you do not believe in God, why you reject the belief in God. So I'm just kind of curious as to.
I think the word reject is a bit ambiguous here, but let me say that most atheists here would say that they don't outright reject the concept. They would be willing to believe it if there was sufficient evidence. But I would say that I don't know what evidence would possibly be sufficient. I mean, we're talking about something supernatural. Only natural things are known to exist. Therefore, any evidence that we saw would be better explained as a natural phenomenon. In fact, it's more likely that everyone on the world, on the planet, would have the exact same sourceless delusion at the same time and think they saw God, but it's actually an unrelated coincidence that we all saw the same thing. That would be more likely than that it was actually God. Now, that wouldn't convince many people, but I'm just voicing that I don't think any evidence would ever be sufficient. But in principle, I'm open to it. It's possible, conceivably, metaphysically possible, but not that there is metaphysics.
how you came about that conclusion. You don't have to give me a whole life story or anything like that. But I'm just kind of curious on that. So you can make a video. I would appreciate a video. You don't have to make a video. It doesn't really matter. You can comment or not comment. Doesn't really matter either. But it's really up to you.
Nothing matters.
You're getting your video.
And, so that's the first question.
Well, sort of.
The second question would be, do you know much about the Christian God?
Yes.
Yeah, these are pretty softball questions, but yeah,
Well,
I mean, I know enough.
I'd say on average, atheists know more about theology than theists do.
Yeah.
In general, like you can give them quotes from the Bible and they'll be insulted and think that you're a complete asshole, but you're actually just quoting the Bible. Like I've had people walk up to my door, then I'll ask them, like it'll be a woman trying to preach Christianity, and I'll ask her how she feels about the penalty for rape being small fee, and then you have to marry your rapist. And she actually said that that's not in the Bible. Then I gave her the verse. She looked it up in the Bible that she was carrying, and it was in there. So it's pretty astonishing how people can walk around and preach this every day and not even understand the context of how medieval and bullshit their theology is.
Medieval is a compliment to the Bible. It's Bronze Age. But yeah, I mean, how can she carry around the book that debunks the reason she's carrying it around?
The book itself debunks her right to tell me what to say. Like, they're not allowed to teach men.
Yeah.
Like, that's like rule number one. And that's in the New Testament too. So they can't fucking use that excuse. Oh, that's the Old Testament. So
it is in the New Testament, yeah.
I know this might sound kind of weird. In fact, I know you guys don't believe in the Christian God. However,
we answered like for the character, not for the real thing. So like, yeah, I mean, I know a lot about like Voldemort or Darth Vader, but they don't exist. I don't hate either of them either, just like I don't hate God, just often levied against atheists. But like, a person could hate a fictional character. It shouldn't make any difference to their actual actions, though. If it does, there's something pretty wrong with them.
yeah.
Also, a theist can hate God. It's called a mytho-theist.
in fact, you've done your research and you've studied thoroughly in the realities of life, you've come to the conclusion of come to know God more, as you say, intimately or more closely through.
They get very closely attached to a fictional character. Gotcha. It's like My Little Pony fans, but more widespread.
Team Jake and Team what's the other guy's name? Get the vampire's name.
Fuck if I know. Yeah, I don't think it's even Jake. I think that might be wrong.
No, the wolf's name is Jake, isn't it?
Is it? I think it's. I have no idea. It might be Jake.
You have no fucking clue.
I can't remember.
The Bible, which is the.
Okay, we've been officially deposed as Twilight fans, folks. You're gonna have to find somewhere else to go if you're Twilight atheists.
Testimony of how God has showed and revealed Himself throughout the centuries. So,
Edward.
How much do you know about
Edward? That's it. Yes, you're right. Sorry, theists. We're discussing Twilight here.
Well, it's on the same footing.
God? Have you read the Bible front to back?
I bet this guy's a Twilight fan.
Have you studied it thoroughly? The third question I have.
I've never actually read the Bible all the way through. I just know some of it, and most of my knowledge in arguing against theists just comes from the pure logic and philosophy of it. Like, show me proof. Sometimes it really is that simple.
Is when you think of the Judeo-Christian God, what's the first thing that comes to mind without you having to reflect and think? If you have
I'd say genocide.
Yeah, I mean,
the first thing that comes to mind.
I was trying to be charitable, but honestly, it was genocide for me as well.
Killing babies, turning entire cities into dust, turning people into salt for looking at them.
For looking backwards, yeah.
Oh, incest. That was another thing that came to mind.
Yeah. Well, how like
Lots of-
I just get this picture of what Hitchens called celestial North Korea, where you just have like all these otherwise free peoples on Earth just towered over by this invisible celestial dictator, and it's fucking horrible. And I'm so glad that the universe isn't like that.
A theocracy.
Well, not just a theocracy. You call it like a super theocracy, because it's not just people ruling with their theism. It's the theist or the deity itself.
What's the mind?
Because they think that's what's actually going on. So I suppose you would call it a theocracy.
What do you think about the Christian God? And then question number 4. Question number 4 would be, what is God's character? Who is...
We answered that with the last one, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, they wrote God. Some of it was like metaphor and allegory, meant to signify things. Some of it was meant to keep people in line and meant to keep them in fear. Some of it was actually like real character development for some of the characters in the story. But in every case, God is used as a device to fuck up the natural way of things for the purposes of the story. And in cases like with Job, where he really fucks up Job's life, that wasn't the natural way of things. The guy writing the story needed a plot device in order to change the natural order of things, to make it more interesting. And he had to weave God in there as well, because it was already established, I'm guessing. So you could analyze it that way. Like, the reason that God is always a genocidal maniac in the Bible, or almost always, especially in the Old Testament, but often in the New Testament too, is that he is the mutating plot device that changes things. I mean, that's just one of the many reasons, but I think it's not necessarily deliberate that he looks like a genocidal maniac in the book, is what I'm trying to say. But that's
we are
definitely what
his
comes across.
so it's not really genocide. He owns us. That's why it's okay for him to kill the firstborn child of every household.
Yeah, because as we know, the Bible's very specific about the fact that you can kill your slaves. Oh wait, no, you can't.
You can beat your slaves.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, you can beat them, but they can't die within 3 days. But if they die on the 4th day, you're cool. That's their own fault.
Look at biblical morality. It's crap even for the Bronze Age. This morality. It's like the least developed, most superstitious part of the Middle East is where this originates from. So don't be surprised that it's utter garbage, and that even Christians, even the most hardcore Christians today in the West, don't follow like 90% of the Old Testament.
Izzy, what is in his nature? Who do you think he is? He's good, evil, bad, whatever.
I can try to entertain the idea that he has that the biblical God has some good, has some love in him. I haven't read the New Testament very much, but I can try to entertain that idea. But to be honest, it's just so outweighed by all the evil.
It sprinkles on dog shit.
Yeah.
Well, he said love thy neighbor, yeah, but he also killed everyone.
And I mean, neighbor means like your Jewish, God-fearing neighbor who hasn't broken any of the really specific and arbitrary rules in this book. The book that doesn't exist yet, by the way. It's all like oral tales at that point. But yeah, neighbor is a very specific thing, or at least that's how I think any honest scholar would interpret it.
Just, who is God and his character? And then following
also,
question number 4.
Narcissistic too, because in his 10 Commandments, 2 of them are, or 2 or 3 of them are about worshiping him, the proper way to worship him.
Yeah, and there's I mean the first 3, and it's arguable with translation because almost all of the modern translations are pretty generous. They're because ancient Hebrew does not translate well, or whatever it was written in, does not translate well to English. The literal translation is just all over the place. With the exception of a few, could be totally different from what we think they are. But if you use like the King James Bible, the first 3 are just about how to properly honor God. And like, do not kill is like 6 or 7 or something. Like it's a long way down the list. And obviously rape and slavery don't make it onto the list.
Actually, I'm gonna just Google the fucking 10 Commandments right here.
Alrighty. The chat is positively abuzz.
Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not take the Lord's name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Thou shalt honor thy... Yeah, so the first three are just sucking his own dick.
Yeah.
Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother, that it may be well thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. I think that's like an expanded version. Yeah, then the fifth is thou shalt not kill. Sixth, thou shalt not commit adultery, which I'm pretty sure that only applies to women, isn't it?
I'm not sure about that, actually. I think that might be both.
Yeah, because there is polygamy in the Bible. Is there not?
Yeah, but I don't think they're married to those people.
Yeah.
Are they? Isn't that just a harem? Like they have a wife and their mistresses? I might be wrong about that. You might be right that it's just women.
Yeah, number 7 is thou shalt not steal. 8, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. 9, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. I like the one where it says neighbor's ass, but 10, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manistrive, blah, blah, blah. And yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stealing.
Yeah. But as I say, the literal translation is really different. Like there's, you know, the one, which is this the third commandment that says something about, you shall have no gods before me? Or is it the second?
What's that, sorry?
Which commandment is it that says something along the lines of you can't have any other gods before me? Like you shall have no other gods before me. Is it the second or the third?
That is the first.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's the most important thing in the eyes of the Lord. Yeah. There's no competition.
Well, which is there's one thing of there's one about idols. Either way, the one about graven images, or idols or something. The second or the third. That one, Aaron Ra talked about this. He said something along the lines of that the most like scholarly and objective interpretation of that is that you're not allowed to draw things from the real world. It has nothing to do with like graven images or idols. But the ancient Jews believed if you drew something and you cast a spell on it, it would come to life, or something like that, or it would be bad luck to draw something from the real world. And that's what some people interpret that literal commandment as actually meaning. So the interpretation in like the KJV and the all the new modern Bible versions are really charitable. And they kind of they're made to fit the doctrine. I'm guessing that they were canonized during like the Treaty of Nicaea, or I'll be thinking of the wrong thing. By the way, the thing the Catholics did in the early days of Christianity, what was it? I think it was the Romans actually. Either way, when it was canonized.
Question number 5 was, how did you come to these conclusions?
Wouldn't call it a conclusion. I mean, I kind of would. Yeah, pretty soft questions. I just meant to get to know the atheist in question. What are you looking at, Josh?
I'm just trying to listen to the video. It's.
Oh. Is it shitty?
It's a little hard to comprehend, but.
Is it audio quality? Do I need to refresh again?
Just play through.
All right.
What makes you think that the theology of God, I guess you can say, is what you came to your conclusion? What about him made you believe that that's his character?
Oh, I see.
In a way, that's it.
Maybe
the Bible.
The stories of him killing everyone leads us to believe that he's a genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
His commandments show that he's a fucking narcissist.
Yeah. You can say that like Jesus is lovely all you want, but if you're going to say Jesus is God and the Old Testament isn't all lies, then Jesus is the same guy that killed literally everyone on the planet because they weren't doing exactly what he wanted.
He just went and undid everything that he had already done by sending his son and crucifying him horribly for a nice flesh sacrifice. Because that's the only way to forgive the world is through bloodshed. No,
Yeah.
an all-powerful God cannot forgive you in any other way but to slaughter his own son.
Yeah, he's just not smart enough to figure out, like, I forgive you.
It was the only way to do it. You can't have forgiveness and not have bloodshed. That's apparent.
Yeah, but
There's obviously no other way to
here's
do
the
it.
thing. Like, God knew it was going to happen when he made people who he knew were going to break his rules. So he made them
No, he
knowing
gave
that
us
he
free
would kill
will.
them all.
We had free will to do all that.
Okay, so he's not omniscient?
I can't really apologize for this. Fuck.
I mean, if we have free will, then he doesn't know what we're going to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Or does he know, but he just doesn't let us? If he knows what we're going to do in the future, and he made us, then everything he did in making us preordained what we were going to do in future. Like, he knew what we were going to do in the future, and he made us. Therefore, he knew what was going to happen as he was making us. Therefore, there is no free will. He couldn't trick himself and make us different. Like, the only way you can get around the free will thing is to say God isn't omniscient or he didn't make us. Or, you know, even if he made the universe, still ultimately the universe made us. So, yeah, the free will thing is kind of stupid. And the free will discussion is solved by secular materialism anyway, just like every other aspect of self. I really must write that article.
All right.
I can pointless high philosophy for you. Well, I suppose more sophistry than anything else. Okay, let's move on, because this guy's out of questions. Let's move on to this ridiculous nonsense.
First of all, you must understand that in the last days, scoffers will come, scoffing and following their own evil desires.
I'm so scoffing right now.
Mm-hmm.
I've got such evil desires. My desires are so... This don't like my desires. My desires involve fun.
Pure evil. If it's
They
not
will-
loving Jesus, it is evil. Whatever takes you away from Jesus is evil.
I mean, that's pretty much what they think.
Say, where is this coming, he promised? Ever since our fathers died, everything goes on as it has since the beginning of creation.
Any day
But
now,
they
he's going to come
deliberately
back.
Forget.
Oh yeah, any day now. Yeah. For
Any
2,000
day for the
years.
next 2,000 years. Yeah.
Yeah. For 2,000 years.
Between now and maybe
No.
like, yeah.
The heat death of the universe, yeah. Sometime before then, he'll come back. What if the heat death of the universe is when God comes back? Christians have a bit of a while to wait then, don't they? And obviously they won't exist when it happens, because heat death of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in 100 trillion years, we could, like, build a few million of our own universes, so I don't think it's going to be a problem by then. But yes. Doesn't exist.
Long ago, by God's word, the heavens existed, and the earth was formed.
Based on 3.5 of knowledge.
What?
Josh, did you make this video? Did you make this video, Josh? Josh, defend the clams in this video.
Well, right there, 3.5 in knowledge. Like, how the fuck? I don't even understand it.
I don't know either. Okay, there's a
3.5
percentage.
what?
There's a percentage in the title of the video. Atheists know 3.5%, and they are atheist, vet 3.5. There's more to it than that.
Atheist, yeah. Well, you spelled it right the
vet
first time.
3.5%, and DR atheist og for vita 3.5%. That's it. Makes no fucking
It's a long
sense.
ass title.
Honestly, guys, I got these videos 5 minutes before the show. I just found some theist YouTube channels and downloaded them. I have no idea what this video is.
Out of water and by water. By these waters, also the world of that time was deluged and destroyed.
As a theist,
By the same word, the present heavens and earth.
I know
were
the
fire.
3.5%.
3.5% of what again?
Of the wealth go to the top 1%.
I see.
no. 50% of the prayer power goes to the top 3.5%. We've got to get Bernie Sanders on this.
Interesting. All right, let's keep playing it.
Being kept for the
Do I dare do a Bernie Sanders impression?
day of judgment and destruction.
Oh, okay, we've got something else here. 96.5% is the difference between 3.5% and 100%. So that must mean something. That gives us a clue about what this means. So 96.5% through faith. So is he saying that like 3.5% of what you can do in the universe, you can do as an atheist, but the rest you have to have faith for? You have to use Jesus' powers.
Or is he talking? I don't even know where he's getting these numbers from, though. Like, it seems really arbitrary. Like 3.5% seems like a good amount of worldly knowledge, but
honestly, if he said 99.99%, it'd be more believable. Especially if he was talking about like justified black homicides.
Yeah, well, it's like the saying: the more you think you understand about the universe, the more you realize that you know nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of applies to this guy, Dunning-Kruger. I mean, let's face it, Dunning-Kruger definitely applies to this guy. He's a theist making videos.
And of ungodly men. But do not forget this one.
Faith is seeing the unseen. Faith is
that
delusion.
God or something?
I don't know.
Is that what he's trying to say?
I don't know. I mean, the dot is obviously just a bright star or something. Or was a distant galaxy behind that particular arm of the galaxy that's being shown? If that is an arm of the galaxy, it might be an asteroid belt. I don't know what it is. It doesn't explain it.
Well, right now he's saying faith is seeing the unseen when it's actually believing something that you can't see. You have no inside fucking information with faith. It's just taking something on faith is to take something without evidence.
I think almost every dictionary includes belief without evidence as part of that definition of faith, which makes sense. So this is not quite right. I would say like hallucinating is seeing the unseen.
Or like saying, have you ever been to New Zealand? No, then you have faith that New Zealand exists. Because you don't know for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Lord of the Rings might have been filmed. It might be all CGI for all we know.
Friends, with the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day.
Sounds boring and really rushed at the same time. I mean, that is literally a contradiction right there. Okay, so hold on. If one day is like 1,000 years, but 1,000 years is like a day, what you're saying is a day is like a day. Good job.
The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. He is patient with...
Some understand... Steam is not slow at releasing games, as some understand speed. Half-Life 3 isn't on a long delay, as some understand delays. This video isn't slow at getting to the point, as some understand slowness. Yeah, this is retarded, as some understand retardism.
Not wanting anyone to perish.
I have to use that, that's amazing.
But everyone to come to repentance. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief.
Why would you write it like that?
He's like ejaculate like a thief would. Like he just stole some shit and he's just fucking jacking off in the bushes.
I mean, that does sound more like God than the benevolent idea of him that most Christians have. The literal thief jacking off in the bushes. Yeah, that's Yahweh, all right. Why would you call him a thief? Like, you had the opportunity to make up whatever bullshit you wanted, and you called him a thief.
He's as graceful as a unicorn. No, he's coming like a thief.
Speaking of whatever bullshit you want, let's listen to more.
Appear with a roar. The elements will be destroyed.
Just your nail is enough to know God exists. Well, I'm looking at my nail, and it's pretty fucking ungodly. So, I think we have our answer.
I really don't get that. Just your nail is enough to know God doesn't exist?
I think he's saying, like, it's obviously designed, therefore God.
So what about when you get what's it called? Impacted nail or something, where you get an infection?
Nail. Yeah.
That's a terrible design.
Yeah, it's a really shitty design, especially when it's not caused by any disease or it's just a genetic malfunction. There's so many things wrong with the human body. Like, obviously there's the fact that I think it's over 90% of our, I might be wrong, but of our genetics is junk. And that's been proven because it's a similar number for mice. And if you take out all the junk DNA in mice, they develop exactly the same. It's all just a complete waste, which lends a little bit of credence to evolution, I think. Just a little. Let's continue.
By fire, and the earth and everything in it.
Production of nail is more complex than any computer. I mean, any single computer, yes, but the internet is more complex than any animal body. I would posit, including the brain, including all the cells internally.
Well, if you talk about the genetic building of the material, but
I think
I could synthesize something extremely similar, if not the same.
Yeah, I mean, we can clone things, as you said in one of your Deceit of Islam videos. We can make this stuff as well. Sure, it's based on the original template, but we know how to build it ourselves. And the internet, in its totality, is more complex than any animal body, I would summarize. But I mean, complexity is so subjective. When it comes to performing a function, I mean, I've heard the argument that an earthworm is more complex than a space shuttle. But when it comes to performing a function,
more complex than any computer.
Yeah, he's crap at English.
I could probably give him a lesson or two.
Yes, you could. And then I could give you some lesson too. No, it's impressive that you saw it, honestly. Production of a nail is more complex than any pamphlet.
It will be laid bare.
Is that it? I think that's it. That's it, it's over. Did you get the point? Did you understand?
No, I still don't know what that dot is that he's been pointing at for the entire fucking video.
Oh god. I don't either. Shit. Okay, I shouldn't have closed that. But, okay, so we have I've got a video here. I don't know if it's actually the kind of thing that we can go over. Let's see how good this is. These are the questions for atheists video. I have no idea if these questions are really good. We'll have a go. I wonder how chat's enjoying our very impromptu show. Chat, if any of you aren't AIU trolls, how are you enjoying our impromptu show? Would you rate Eighth Heaven, mate?
Well, if we just look at the rating section, actually, let's see what that is right now.
It's not going very well. It's 9 to 15, or 16. Sorry.
Well, that's a good average.
Well, yeah, considering that 13 of those downvotes are probably AIU people.
Probably 14. All right, let's get to the video.
Alrighty. This is some awful intro. I'm going to skip it. Battle-hardened Catholic Christian Media Productions. This is 20 seconds of intro.
It's fucking the 60s version of a computer, fucking sound.
Oh shit, never mind. This is the one I actually did a video on. If you want to see me debunk this, it's on my channel. I have... Okay.
Fucking 10-point buck.
Okay, today we're going to talk about the one question that all atheists fear, or at the very least, they really hate to try and answer this question. I've been debating going back and forth with atheists for...
Huh?
I just said, come at me, bro. He said, atheists are fearing the question. Get it?
I don't want to fear this guy. I think this video was actually done by Skeptic, but it's worth doing again. This guy's a complete moron, by the way. He basically has this one trick. Most theist debaters have this one trick, and this guy's no exception. And you'll see what it is in this video. I think it's this video he does it.
Just over a year now. And sometimes I feel like catnip, and I feel like they think they're the cat. They see a Christian and they want to pounce on me and play, and just like they do with everybody else.
We're not the cat. The cat's a creationist.
And they always pose this question, and the question is, give me the evidence that Christianity is true, that Jesus is God, things of that nature. So I'll thinking they're honest, I'm going to go down the evidence, and I'll cite the scientific evidence, the historical
That wasn't actually a question. Doesn't matter.
evidence, the archaeological evidence, third-party evidence, fulfilled prophetic evidence.
None of which he's going to give in this video, of course. But of course,
mentioning
one
that
that
he has is good enough.
Huh?
Just mentioning that he has this evidence is good
Yes.
enough for his followers.
Yes. That's similar to a debater that I used to tussle with occasionally. Kathy, I did an article on her arguments. She presents the similar list of categories of evidence, and about half of them are categorically not evidence.
Just stating your opinion.
And
Breaking up, Tom. You're breaking up. Ah, shit, again.
I'm back. Do you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Let's keep going. You see the video?
Yep.
Statistical probabilities.
Statistical, according to who? I mean, if we're not talking like a really simple situation like a coin flip or a dice roll, if you look at anything as complex as the kind of thing you would find in real life, or especially when it comes to like supernatural shit, there's no way to judge the probability. Probability leaves the equation in terms of usefulness when you get to something that complex, especially when we're talking about the past. Past events can be assigned any probability.
I'll cite the eyewitness accounts of over 500 people.
Yes.
Eyewitness accounts, yes. Every religion has eyewitness accounts. Does that mean that they're all true?
Hey, eyewitness...
Bigfoot has more eyewitnesses than fucking Jesus. So what does that mean to your logic?
Yeah, I witnessed irrefutable information that you're wrong about everything. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, there are no first-hand eyewitness accounts. There probably aren't even second-hand. Like at best, we've got like third or somewhere else down the line, and they've gone through multiple translations, and some have gone through edits and like recompilation and taken out of context, all kinds of shit. And there's no way to know if there ever actually were eyewitnesses. There are two authors who were not the Bible, who wrote about who wrote about Jesus. One of them was Josephus, who was basically just chronicling this crazy Jewish cult and wrote about what they believe, not about an actual historical figure. And there was someone else, and I don't know who it is, and I don't remember much about them, but they basically just mentioned Jesus in passing, I think. Didn't go into much detail, but I think they were doing the same thing that Josephus was doing. So if that's the best you've got, then you have to do better. This guy's like the... Go on.
Does he have 4 pages?
He's got 4 pages of quotes that prove that we're racist. I mean, Satan.
4 pages of quotes that prove Jesus is real according to the Bible.
Yes. Yeah. This guy's like the theist Kevin Logan.
It's all you. That's, 25,000 pieces of parchments and documents.
25,000 pages of quotes.
Oh, damn. So somebody wrote it down, therefore it has to be true.
Yeah, Luke really stopped this game, dude.
The Goblet of Fire is evidence of fucking Harry Potter. And once we wait 2,000 years old, it'll have the same credibility.
Yes. Shit, internet. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're not too bad right now.
All right, man, that's a piece of shit. Apologies. But yeah, this theist has got like over 5,000 times as much pages of quotes as Luke released of his game.
Original, the text has never been altered. I mean, I go through mountains and mountains of evidence, only to have them say at the end, well, that doesn't really count. That's not really.
Of course, you didn't listen to the reasons for saying it doesn't count.
So does he speak Hebrew? Because all these parchments would be in Hebrew, and if they're not edited or fucking changed whatsoever, then he should be reading them in the original language.
Yeah, and nothing we have is anywhere near as old as Bronze Age. The Dead Sea Scrolls are, I'm not sure exactly how old they are, but they're nowhere near the 5,000 years old they need to be. I think they're like maybe between 1 and 2,000 years old. And they appear. I think they appear to be reasonably similar to what we already have. But there's still the issue of translation. The whole thing's going to be translated. We were talking earlier about how literal ancient Hebrew is really like very different from English, and a lot of interpretation involved.
The evidence, you still don't have any proof that God exists, and you certainly don't have any proof that Jesus is God. Well,
yeah, by the way, none of those pieces of evidence that you referenced would prove that God exists. Even if you were able to prove that, like, all the stories in the Bible were written by people who were being honest, who honestly thought they'd seen God, it still wouldn't actually evidence God. As I said earlier, like, you'd need some sort of absolute proof to indicate a deity. Even if you're able to prove that the Bible is actually infallible, it still wouldn't prove God.
The first time I heard that, it was pretty...
We basically need access to ontology. My opinion is, like, you can't get to God through epistemology. You have to have ontology. I might be wrong about that. I might be able to be convinced by some actual epistemic evidence, but...
You're breaking up a bit.
As in crackling or low quality?
Crackling.
Okay, I can fix that, I think. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, good. Same thing as last time. All right, let's keep going.
I mean, I was actually stunned into silence. I didn't know what to say to that, because whenever you're speaking with somebody, you show them evidence. Naturally, you think that they're actually going to look at the evidence and find out for sure for themselves. Like,
yeah, I'm sure you believe in evolution, right?
When you skip ahead a bit,
millions and actually billions of other people. The evidence and find out for sure for themselves, like millions and actually billions of other people have done.
He's made a claim here.
yeah, you're breaking up.
Oh shit, my internet's shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think.
Okay, you with me?
Yep.
All right, I need to give my router a real solid kicking one of these days. I'll say what I said again. I'll let him say it.
The evidence and find out for sure. I didn't know what to say to that, because whenever you're speaking with somebody, you show them evidence. Naturally, you think that they're actually going to look at the evidence and find out for sure for themselves, like millions and actually billions of other people have done.
So he's made the claim here that millions and billions of Christians, in his opinion, have actually looked at the evidence, and the evidence is the reason that they're Christians.
That's
what do you think about that, Josh? Yeah.
Well,
I think, like,
I guess evidence is objective.
I think maybe 95% childhood indoctrination, maybe even more than that, maybe 99%.
97, 98.
Yeah. Which is awful. Like, that's one of the things I really don't like in the world.
Yeah.
That it actually does exist. But an atheist will just sort of brush it all aside. And
well, here's the thing with evidence, right? When we present you evidence and you brush it aside, that's different from when you present us evidence and we brush it aside if the evidence you provide is not actually evidence or if it's absent. Like,
come on, you got to accept anecdotal evidence. I feel Jesus, therefore that's evidence. He's in my heart.
Yeah. Well, I feel atheism, therefore atheism. But yeah, I mean,
that's just your worldview.
Yeah, maybe this guy is used to being presented like really good evidence for evolution and denying it dishonestly, and so he expects other people to treat his evidence with the same respect that he subconsciously has for the evolution evidence. He expects them to think it's just as strong, and he expects them to accept it, even though, like, he has this subconscious explanation. Again, armchair psychology. But either way, this guy is fucking deluded.
Say that it doesn't really count. Well, I came on the one question that all atheists fear, and no atheist can answer, by accident. Because one day...
I'm sorry for it now, Josh.
What is it?
Josh, will you hold my hand? This is horrible.
This is getting scary.
Yeah.
No, I
This
can't
is
wait.
like
I'm
a
still waiting for
paranormal
this fucking
activity video.
question. It's like fucking
Yeah.
95% hot air.
It's bluster. We're actually most of the way through the video, so he's not going to take long to ask it.
I was so flustered, I said, okay, show me the evidence you have to prove that God does not exist.
Oh!
Show me evidence that Allah does not exist. Show me the evidence that Zeus does not exist. Show me the evidence that Thor does not exist. Until you
It's
disprove
very
every one of
obvious.
those gods, they're all on the same and equal footing as your God. So
That's the
better
obvious
start praying
answer.
to a lot more people.
The thing is, like, stupid questions don't get answered, they get deconstructed. That's what you just did, and you did the right thing there. The problem is that you didn't give an answer, and so he can just say they won't answer the question, right? Could be because they're liars and they want to misrepresent. So you can take a slightly more nuanced approach to this. There are people
no,
I know
it's
who
like-
actually...
Asking like, what does the color purple sound like?
I know, it's a
It's a
nonsensical
fucking
question.
retarded question. It doesn't have an answer. It has, like you said, deconstruction.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is, like, you can approach it in a slightly different way. You can say something along the lines of, because there are people I know who claim to be Gnostic atheists. They don't claim to have like 100% certainty, but they claim to for practical purposes, and they defend Gnostic atheism in debates. What they'll say is, like, obviously you can't 100% disprove a god for certain, but you can set up several like reasonable bounds of logic. Like, if you treat knowledge as, if you treat hypotheses as only, like, if you can dismiss a hypothesis before you even consider it, then you can consider it effectively disproven. And you consider the axiom of the laws of physics are absolute in the universe and that there's nowhere where they don't apply. If you consider certain axioms like this, which should be normal in every debate, you can get at disproving God, especially if you go the angle of, like, what's the source of God? It's scripture. So disprove the scripture. Psychoanalyze people that wrote it, literary analysis, and you can analyze the history and where the stories came from in history. You can get very close to the point of actually saying, like, I can disprove it. For me, it's not sufficient to say that you're a Gnostic atheist, but you can get very strong down that route, and that is actually evidence of atheism. It's exactly what this guy's asking for. So you did the exact right thing, Josh. That's what I'd say, even if I could have this stuff. But I think you could actually answer his question in a forceful way. It wouldn't be absolute, but it would probably stun into silence right back. But, yeah, let's see a majestic question here.
And I got an answer like this. It was a blank stare.
Probably because it was a stupid fucking question.
Yeah, what does the color purple sound like?
Sounds repulsive.
They don't have evidence that God doesn't ever have. And the very thing...
Well, what I would say is, like, you want evidence? Tell me the claim. Tell me the claim, sorry, I'm supposed to be providing evidence for. And then I would shut him right up again. I mean, he would say atheism, but I'd say, okay, what's the claim? What claim does atheism make? Because there probably is, in some people, an honest, but in most of these theists, dishonest interpretation of atheism, that atheism is the assertion that there are no gods. Whereas it's the
rejection of...
most common use is simply a lack of theism. And in the past, like, the archaic of atheism is the more strong position of there are no gods. But I still think that back then it was just for practical purposes. Like, I don't think anyone in history has been 100% convinced, honestly, and with sanity of mind, and in a position, the way that they could defend and debate there's no God. Like, it's conceivably impossible. So I don't think that word is actually used. That's necessary condition for being used.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with ontology, with actual truth, you have two possibilities. You either have true or false. But with epistemology, with beliefs and opinions, you have three possibilities. You have yes, no, and I don't know, or maybe. Middle position is where we stand on atheism. It's like we don't say yes, but we also don't say no to God's existence. We don't say it's impossible. We don't say it's definitely true. We are in the middle. We don't go to yes or to no in any particular degree, except, study. You can get pretty close to no with atheism, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of basic shit that is the problem here, because these people, they don't need to. It's not beneficial for them to understand. It's natural selection. If any of them do actually figure it out, the ones that are willing to listen to reason don't become theist debaters. So we're left with people like this, who aren't willing to listen to reason.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally, these anti-evolution people are proving natural selection for us.
But it turns out that they're the ones actually breeding more. So stupid people usually breed more than intelligent people. So
yeah, you're right about that.
What atheists have. They have no evidence to support it, so they live with a blind faith that God doesn't exist. I mean, I thought that was interesting and a little bit poetic. That's it for this video.
Well,
blind faith.
Yeah.
To believe in something that doesn't exist.
Atheists believe atheism on blind faith.
So I guess it's faith that Thor doesn't exist and Odin and Zeus.
Yeah,
all faith
this guy
that they don't exist.
This guy has blind faith in the non-existence of all other gods. It is really that easy. I mean, all you got to do in the debate is just ask some of these basic logic questions, and they will evade. They will do their very best to evade it, but it should be obvious to anyone smart that's watching that that's what they're doing. So, we've been on for an hour and 10 minutes. I can probably fish out one more video for us.
Yeah, let's do one more.
All right, then. I've run out of
8 people watching. Half of them trolls.
Half. I think that's a bit generous to the non-trolls. Hey, if you're not an AIU troll, say something in the chat, because you're probably a real cool person.
Oh, we got Vindicator, troll. Your pronunciation is Vin, as I can see.
There's anyone in the chat, yeah. Alright, well, let's try this video. I didn't watch it. The format might not be right for us, but it's Dawa, man. It's a Muslim, so a bit of a change.
We stand firm, calling to Allah all the time. We let them know, bang, bang, cause it's our time.
Hammer Time is going to have to sue your ass.
Dawa.
Whoever wrote that. Yeah. What is Dawa? I'm not an expert. Is that
Dawa is a preacher of Islam.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that. Yeah. Fair enough. So he's calling himself like, boom, boom, it's priest man time.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's keep going.
There will always be those who seek to extinguish the light of Allah with their mouth.
He sounds like an atheist dinosaur a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. The accent is a bit more Middle Eastern, but other than that, it's pretty similar.
But Allah tells us that
Allah tells us. Go on, tell us what Allah tells us. Let's just do that again. Hold on.
Your mouth. But Allah tells us
it is. He says Allah.
He refuses to let his light be extinguished by them.
Yep, that's what he tells you in your delusional fantasies where you hear voices in your head.
All praise Allah.
All praise Allah.
I don't know. Alan. Some guy named Alan.
Alan Snack Bar.
And they hate that. They really hate that.
I really hate that. What do I hate? Do I hate Ara? Do I hate Ara's right?
Yeah.
Rise of the Door. Oh, this video! I didn't know it was this video. Yes, I think this was on DP.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, really? Alright, let's go for it. Then.
Maybe.
If you've seen it, we'll skip ahead to the apologetics.
Is he a Muslim, like, Terminator kind of thing?
This guy's playing an atheist, even though he's a friend of the guy that made it, and he's actually a Muslim. They have a fight, and the atheist's about to kick the Muslim's ass, and then the Muslim says something Muslish, and I don't know, something happens. Look at his, it's not a skirt, sorry. Looked like a skirt for a second there. Got that silly hat on.
Terrorist.
This is just Apple security from the future, that's all it is. That was weird. Oh Jesus, it's getting hot and
Like
bothersome.
day for a walk, huh? I mean your toe, your coffee, and your miswak. Now.
What?
What?
What did he say?
I think he was describing his fucking headdress and clothing. The names for his
He
hat.
said three things I've never heard of.
His hat, his skirt, and his shirt, I think. I think that's what he meant.
Hold on.
As day for a walk, huh? I mean your toe, your coffee, and your miswak. Now.
Your robe, your
Tobe, and
coffee,
miswak.
your nitwa.
It sounded like Tobe to me. And coffee and...
I heard robe.
Fuck it. Okay, fair enough. It probably was robe. Let's keep going. He's actually wearing a robe, though.
Yeah, he's wearing a jacket over a robe.
He's wearing a hoodie over like a shirt and like baggy, thin white trousers.
No, those aren't trousers. That's a skirt. He's wearing a skirt.
Trousers to me. We'll have a look when it pans out in a minute.
I did not see that. You're playing the video.
Jesus.
Oh, wow. He's doing a little fucking...
I think Henzo would have something to say about this. Hey, you guys, anus is not sex organ.
Huh? Come to terminate your belief.
This is what atheists do. Man, I think that could have gone two ways when he started touching up his beard, and this way was the less interesting way.
Yeah, this is a converted world where fucking atheists harm theists.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there was that one
He's
time
probably
that one
scared.
atheist shot a couple Muslims in a parking lot, but...
Yeah, but
The
that was a
thousand...
parking dispute.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what the police say. I mean, let's just trust our theist bigotry instead of the police report. I like he's wearing pink trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my logo is pink, so I got nothing against pink, but I feel like this guy might in certain situations, but whatever.
Does that look
And
like
he is wearing a
trousers
skirt.
too?
It is a skirt. It looks like it, yeah. It looked like trousers earlier, but that is actually a skirt. I think you were right about that. Oh, man. This is a weird way to terminate a belief. It's much more like he's trying to terminate his masculinity.
Mm. Interesting.
Very.
Oh, some
I know this is like
WWE shit here.
Yeah. This is how a Terminator would do it, by doing like a spectacle fight move. I know this is an amateur production and all, but I mean, they did so many things wrong here. So some of it's not bad. Like some of the special effects are okay, but like I feel like the writing of the concept was terrible. But some of the acting is not actually that bad. Could be a lot fucking worse.
You come from unconsciousness, and now you return to unconsciousness.
What the fuck does that mean?
No fucking clue.
Well, they often conflate consciousness as in being awake and consciousness as in the first person's perspective. That's like their immediate go-to when you say consciousness is an illusion. But that probably is what they're doing here. But go on then, let's see what his brilliant refutation of this Terminator logic is.
That's bullshit, bro. That don't make any sense.
That's pretty much what you said. Probably different reasons though. Yeah, that'd work. That'd work. Doesn't make sense. Oh shit, terminate mission. System overload. Can't take some guy saying that doesn't make sense.
Look, on a serious note, get down. Come with me, if you want to believe.
Okay, I don't want
He
to
can't
believe.
just like stop his belief, and he says, "No, you're wrong. Come believe what I believe," and then he's actually going to consider it. The terrible atheist. He's never like actually met a theist.
He's a terrible Terminator. Like, his purpose is to destroy, apparently. Terminate belief. Not, like, adopt belief. Like, this is some...
Wow. Sarah Connor really fucked up on that one. Wow, is that... Oh, holy shit.
That was easy.
That was just bad. That was just
Yeah, this is how
bad.
atheists work. You tell them, hey, come with me if you want to believe in my God. Yeah, okay, shake hands, let's fucking do this.
Wow.
Come with me if you want to believe. I guess actually that's what they were riffing on, but it wasn't too obvious. They didn't do the voice.
All praise and thanks belongs to Allah. May peace and blessings be upon the Prophet Muhammad.
Yes, give him all kinds of like pork and shellfish. Oh wait, never mind.
How are you guys doing? Now, the Terminator said you came from unconsciousness, now you return to unconsciousness. And I have a problem with that because consciousness is one of the proofs of Allah's existence.
Of course it is. Just like it's proof of Yahweh's existence, right? And proof of every other God's existence. Because when something is mysterious, boom, immediately, automatically, your particular God. Because that's how logic works, right?
Yeah.
I can't, like, there's no way this guy hasn't been presented with that logic before.
Well, it's whether he cares about what's true or not.
Yeah.
Which,
he is,
when your
don't
audience
get me wrong.
doesn't, I don't think that you're too hesitant to just shuffle bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to buy it, like, there's people that want to buy bullshit, and this guy's selling it, so why would he stop?
And I'm going to show that to you, right? But before I do,
Show us.
let's define what consciousness means. Consciousness
That's actually a good idea. I commend you for that. Because it's often used, the two meanings are conflated. So let's see what he says.
is awareness, is perception.
All right, so he's going for the first-person perspective rather than being awake. That's fine. I actually respect him for doing that.
The ability to experience, have thoughts, dreams, ambitions, feelings. That's consciousness, okay? And I'm going to show you in a second.
I mean, you could attribute some of those to animals. I think there are some animals. I think there definitely are some animals that dream, for example.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you could attribute many of them to animals in like their fullest capacity, but you could attribute some lower form of ambition to some animals, especially domesticated animals. But yeah, I know what you mean, though. It's difficult to describe consciousness. And this guy, he's obviously not doing a very good job of it. Philosophers and psychologists do a much better job. But I know what he means, so let's continue with that.
Consciousness is actually a way to affirm and prove that your master, my master, the only one worthy to be worshipped, exists in truth, right?
What?
Hopefully,
Wait, holy shit, I didn't
said
get that
right.
part, but alright.
It's just a really long way of saying. It's just a really long and like, I guess like poetic or sonorous way to say consciousness is evidence for God. So let's see him actually prove that.
That's what it is that I have to say. First and foremost, can we agree that consciousness exists? Yeah.
No, maybe not. I mean, if this was like a longer, if I was writing an article right now, I would argue that it doesn't exist.
No, actually,
But-
we're all in the Matrix right now.
Well, even then, I mean, you have the same thing that he means by consciousness. But let's go with, okay, yes, consciousness exists, even if it is an illusion. In my opinion, like that's the closest to that it's like this real thing, that I would go, and that's dead its opinion. And like I can totally respect that. I probably could argue that it doesn't exist at all, but we'll just go with illusion for now, and therefore that it does exist, even though it's just an illusion.
We can, because you're having a real life conscious experience by watching me right now. In fact, one of the most basic.
Oh shit, that's me.
What?
And necessary truth you know
It's not me.
is that your consciousness exists. If you doubt your consciousness, you're there to doubt it.
Okay, so I don't doubt my consciousness from like a introspective philosophical position. In that sense, of course, it has to exist for me to be considering it. I simply doubt it from a physical perspective, like a neuroscientific perspective. Obviously, I'm not an expert on this, but my opinion is basically that the brain is the source of both perception and what we perceive. Therefore, it could trick itself into thinking it's conscious. It's not even an illusion. It's just, I mean, it sort of is an illusion in that case. But consciousness itself isn't like a thing that's different in our brain from a brain that's the same physically but without consciousness. It's really difficult to explain this. I need to write an article on this, really. But either way, no. Let's go with consciousness exists. Let's go with that.
So
Okay.
you being there is proof that your consciousness, you doubting is proof that your consciousness exists in the first place. Okay, so if it exists, where on earth did it come from?
Well, here's where it gets retarded.
What he's going to say, everything has to come from something, but except for his God, that's the one exception.
Well, no, I mean, that would be much more retarded. But what he's just said, where did it come from? Like, the question itself isn't retarded, but the assumption he's making is, where did it come from? It's the product of the physical activity of the physical brain. Pretty simple.
Again, it'd be the product of natural selection.
Oh, yeah, of course, like, historically, it's a product of evolution. And chemistry in the process of abiogenesis. Obviously, for that, just basic physics, like, you can track it all the way back. But yes, in the moment, it's the product of the physical processes of the physical brain. And I could probably show you some science to prove that, but for now, let's just say that that's an assertion, because we're on a show, and let's just continue.
Well, in order to discuss that, we need to establish the nature of consciousness. Is consciousness something that's material or immaterial? The reason I'm saying this is because from an atheistic, naturalistic worldview, they believe that everything can be explained through the natural world. Everything, when you break it down, essentially, it can be broken down to protons, electrons, and neutrons.
Not the best wording, but what he's saying is essentially true for materialists. Not every atheist is a materialist, but I am. Of course, like I'm not like absolute materialist, but what I'm saying is that I would be willing to bet that all of these or outside it. My internet's cut out a bit. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can a little bit.
Okay. All right. Tell me if there's anything wrong with the audio quality. But yeah, he's pretty much right here. I wouldn't word it that way, but yes, consciousness is essentially just the action of matter.
In other words, it's just matter. Everything can be explained materialistically.
Yes.
Everything ultimately is down to matter, natural.
Yeah.
But
I agree
if
with that.
consciousness doesn't come from material,
Sorry?
I was just saying I agree with that.
Oh, okay. Yep, let's keep going.
then guess what? The natural world can't provide an explanation.
Well, you can't say for sure it's not. Just like you can't say for sure that God doesn't exist. You can't prove any negative unless it's really well defined, and I doubt this one will be well enough defined. So you can't ever say it's definitely supernatural. It may be that we just haven't provided an explanation yet, but despite that, I think we can explain it. I mean, you can explain it in a very basic way by just saying it's the product of the brain. You don't need anything more than that. I probably can't prove that absolutely, but you certainly can't disprove it either. And I think that's the most likely hypothesis. And it has to be the default position as well, because nothing exists that's supernatural as far as we can tell.
Nope, God did it.
Damn it, Josh, you won the debate.
So, what is it? Well, let me ask you, can you lick consciousness? Can you touch it?
Okay. So, can you lick hope? Can you touch fear? Can you taste silliness?
What does the color purple smell like?
Yeah, exactly. Like, not everything that is like, it's an abstract concept. Consciousness is an abstract concept which represents a pattern of brain activity. It's a specific type of pattern. It's a set of patterns in the brain activity. That's what we assign the word consciousness to. Now, can you link consciousness? Like, yeah, it's conceivably possible. You could assemble all the physical brain interactions that make up consciousness. You could isolate them into a small area, so doing the same thing, but the area is usable to lick, and then you could lick it, and you'd be licking only the interactions that apply consciousness. So yeah, conceivably possible, and touch is the same thing, and whatever else. But I mean, you couldn't do that under normal circumstances, and if you did it, you could probably really fuck with it as well. I mean, I don't think you'd find any volunteers. But yeah, you can weigh hope, you can weigh happiness. It's just not practically possible. It is just possible in principle because these things are material. But what he's asking here is really juvenile. It's basically an epistemic trap, and they're pretty common among theists. In fact, they're exclusive among theist debaters.
Can you see it? Can you to verify that consciousness exists? Can you do any of those things that you to verify?
Yes, you can see consciousness. You can see brain activity through technology and CAT scans. You can measure that. You can measure whether somebody is slipping out of consciousness, if somebody's in a coma, how their brain activity. That is easily measurable.
Yeah.
That's how you know when somebody's dead or not.
Yeah. To be fair, you're using the awake or asleep form of consciousness there. When we're talking about like the first person perspective, it's a little harder to isolate, but you're right, you can see brain activity with an fMRI scanner. And so in theory, you could see the bits of brain activity that represent consciousness. But I think it's a bit more complex than that. It'd be very difficult to isolate. But yeah, question for Dawa Man. When was the last time you licked God? Genuine question. He might have a good
existence that you can do for things that are from the naturalistic world? No.
Oh, right, okay. Natural things. Okay, fair enough. So you can't lick God because it's not natural. Okay, I get it. So when was the last time you licked fear? But fear exists, right? Oh, so I guess fear is supernatural. I mean, it's fine. Like, everything's going to become supernatural. Every abstract concept is going to be supernatural. I mean, using an emotion is a bad example. How about society? Society is an abstract concept that we apply to a pattern of physical activity. Can you lick society? I mean, you can lick things that are part of a society, but it's not the same as licking society. But do societies exist? Is society a concept to describe something that exists? I mean, that's a bad example, but it still works. I probably could have come up with a better one if I can on the clock here.
You can't. You can only experience it, and this experience is personal, it's subjective, it's not measurable, right?
It is actually measurable. It's been subjective for most of human history. I don't know when this video was made, but it kind of been that long ago. So you can measure brain activity, yes, and neuroscience is coming on a very long way, especially recently. So it's not completely subjective, not anymore.
Even, for example, if you was to, plug probes into my brain and get me to eat a strawberry, yeah, you may be able to see on the screen that, I'm experiencing something sweet. There's a relationship between the immaterial and the material. I'm not denying that. But you'll never be able to tell me.
That was my
You'll
point.
never be able to affect. Sweetness feels to me. You give me and my friend a strawberry each. The way that we experience a strawberry is totally different. You and another person.
That's not true. I mean, there are certain parts of brain activity which are isolated to physical regions of the brain. Like higher conscious functions are in the prefrontal cortex, I think. I don't know any others, but the experience of two people tasting the same thing is probably very similar. And through honest inquiry at the moment of analysis, if they actually answer honestly, you can get a very good idea of what particular brain patterns mean. And when you're talking about how a strawberry tastes to you, give it time, and we'll get the answer. We'll figure out the brain completely. Fucking science.
So ill, you have the same illness, same disease, but you recover differently based on your consciousness.
It's not because of your consciousness.
That's based off your genetics.
Yeah, it's based off other physical attributes. And that doesn't have very much to do with it.
Experience.
Yep.
One has a positive experience, he recovers. One has a negative experience, he recovers. And there are many researches and studies that have been done to show this, and you can do your own research in that regard.
Okay, it sounds like he is talking about psychosomatic stuff. So yeah, that applies to a lot of conditions. Usually, if you want psychosomatics to work properly, there has to be some sort of dissection. Not always, but often. And so it's kind of difficult to maintain as a reliable treatment. But there's definitely something to it, yeah. But that doesn't. I mean, you could do that without consciousness. It's really about state of mind, not about the first person perspective. An animal can be happy such that it improves their well-being. So I don't think this actually strays onto the territory of consciousness.
So consciousness can't be material because
You have yet to prove that.
Just a shit-eating grin right there. Fucking
Yes,
so fucking
I got the
intimidating.
atheists. I got them.
it can't be measured, and it's personal. It's subjective. There's no way to measure it.
Well, to be fair, Dalman, you defined consciousness for us, but you didn't define material. I mean, okay, you gave an approximate definition, wasn't really phrases one, but I disagree with your definition. So you're going to need, I mean, you haven't proven this, except by your own definition. And your own definition would not preclude all physical things. Or, all concepts that refer to physical things.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, then we have to ask ourselves, okay, can something immaterial come out of something material? Well, again, that's preposterous, because can something...
Does he
something
consider
material
energy
exist?
material?
He probably does. I think it would be rational too. I think energy is more like a property of matter than an actual thing that exists. But I might be totally wrong about that. I'm not a quantum mechanic, as you might have guessed, which is why I'm sitting here doing this fucking podcast and not like in a lab in Switzerland. But yeah, I mean, Dara Man, can you prove that something immaterial can exist?
No, I have no.
They come out of nothing. No, because nothing and something are two opposites.
So one thing can't turn into its opposite state over time or under certain conditions. That's what you're saying? So like someone can't go from alive to dead, for example?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
Same.
not really life to dead, nothing to something. I don't think that's really the same thing.
No,
You're
what
still
he said
something
was,
while you're dead.
what he said is that the reason that it can't go from one to the other is because they're opposite states.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, obviously the question of nothing, something coming out of nothing is a bit more complicated. But honestly, despite the fact that I'm not a quantum physicist, I think I understand it in concept. As long as the universe has a total mass of 0. And I think that's been pretty much established, or at least there's good evidence for it. If the universe does have a mass of 0, then I can understand the universe as a quantum fluctuation in nothingness. Because it requires no positive energy to exist. Therefore, it could just be nothing, like an actual fluctuation of nothing, which is fucking weird. And the human brain will never be able to grasp it completely or instinctively, but I think that's probably what reality is. And that's the most likely idea.
way, I can't be present and absent at the exact same time. I can't be all powerful and all weak at the exact same time.
Okay, but you're not saying that it's both nothing and something at the same time. You're saying something coming from nothing. Someone can go from weak to powerful. Someone can go from absent to present. Exactly, yeah. You could go from something to nothing as well.
Or you could be powerful in one spot and weak in another.
Yeah.
You could be simultaneously weak and powerful.
Yeah, simultaneously, if you consider one entity as a collection of multiple things that can be either. That's more of a semantic difference there.
For total opposites, polar opposites. The same way to say that consciousness, which is immaterial, can have come from something that is material. They're two total opposite states. One couldn't give rise to the other.
Okay, he's trying to justify like a property of his magic woo that doesn't exist using really shitty logic. Like you've yet to demonstrate that immaterial things are a thing yet, let alone defining their properties based on shoddy logic. So let's hear it. Let's hear your example of something that we know exists that is not material.
God.
I guess he would say something like that, wouldn't he? I mean, you say, okay, like, that's the thing, like, one of his conditions for something being material is that it can be measured. So anything that can't be measured is immaterial. So if you ask, like, okay, well, can you demonstrate God? He'd just be like, it can't be measured. But then, like, how can you know it's there? It's to me via faith phone. Okay, can you demonstrate that? Oh, no, because consciousness is immaterial. You see, it's just a fucking epistemic escapism game. Just, at that point, you just have to say, like, okay, let's just, settle up, and do we think it's likely that this guy is actually communicating with an all-powerful fucking sky daddy that's immaterial and can't be measured, and we can't know it exists, but he knows it exists. Like, at that point, there's not really much that you can do with logic, because it's just like, this delusion is supported by this delusion, and this delusion is supported by this delusion, etc., etc. There's no easy end to it.
Well, it's just like saying that nothing, which is nothing, can produce something. Let me give you a tangible example to really drive the point home. Can a lion give birth to a vending machine?
That's a tangible point. That's a tangible example right there.
But they're both carbon-based.
No, but that's a matter of biology. I mean, he's again just trying to make the point that one thing cannot lead to something completely different, but it's just ridiculous. Like, all he's doing is finding examples where one thing can't lead to another thing, or one thing doesn't usually lead to another thing. It doesn't indicate that it's a global rule.
Mm-hmm. Let's go on.
Like, if you took the atoms of a lion, or of 2 or 3 lions, and combined them in such a way, in a very specific process with technology we don't currently possess, you could build a vending machine out of it. I mean, all materials are ultimately just protons and neutrons and electrons. So you could just take a lion and just smoosh it down into like this like proto matter, and then combine the electrons, neutrons, and protons into atoms of the right metals, etc., and build a fucking vending machine. Yeah, you could do it. Oh man, we've solved your problem. Consciousness is material. There you go. A lion can become a vending machine. You might need multiple lines, actually.
Can a lion give birth to one?
That's the fucking future. Use lions as spaceship fuel. Or just for the vending machines, actually.
Right. No, of course not. But did you know that there are more similarities between the lion, the rat, and the vending machine? There are more similarities between these 3 than there is similarities between the material world, the immaterial world.
There is no immaterial world.
Yeah.
It's like there's no fucking Narnia.
Is he talking about like spiritual world here or something?
I don't know, but
Like, what did he define as immaterial?
he hasn't. I don't think he's defined it. He's basically saying that anything that doesn't meet his very narrow and myopic definition of material is immaterial and nonetheless exists.
For example, the lion, the vending machine, and the rat, they're all material at the end of the day. They still can't produce one another, they still can't cause and affect one another, but they are all three material. Yeah.
This just doesn't prove anything. It's just like, here's this very myopic example where you can't, yeah, it basically comes down to semantics, where you can't change this thing into this other thing using this method. And like, what does this prove?
Consciousness and the material world, the natural world, they're both polar opposites.
According to you.
So before you say that something immaterial can come from something material, affirm that a lion can give birth to a rat or a vegetable.
Oh yeah, that's an equivalent fucking logic right there. That's the same thing. How about affirming that a lion can come from a lion? Okay, so what he's saying is like something can't come out of something different from it. And he's given an example where one thing doesn't come out of something where they're both specific things, right? But he's forgotten all the examples of something coming out of something that's different from it. Like a fucking firework is a very specific little, especially machine, you could call it, with explosives and chemicals and all kinds of things bundled inside in such a way that when you apply fire to it, it shoots up into the air and creates a very predictable, at least in kind of color and spread and pattern, explosion. And that's exactly what it's designed to do. But once it's exploded, in that second, that moment that it explodes, it becomes, sparkly bits of metal and, little tiny bits of cardboard that have been shredded by the explosion, and gas and photons and a little stick that usually falls to the ground and hopefully doesn't impale someone or light fire to someone's shed. In that moment, it changes to something totally different than what it was before. Made of most of the same components, I grant you, but spread across a massive area. Some of it stays up in the sky. Some of it is expelled as different because of energy. In that moment, it changes to something completely different from what it was before. I mean, admittedly, it does. Yeah, a lot of heat. Admittedly, it doesn't change from a firework to like Queen Elizabeth, but it still changes quite radically in that time. But yeah, I mean, he would say like, okay, so if consciousness is material, then a firework has to become a Queen Elizabeth when it explodes. That's basically his logic right here. Like, because this one example doesn't do this thing, therefore nothing, therefore consciousness can't. It's fucking retarded. Retarded.
Machine. But you won't do that for obvious reasons. It's more preposterous for you to say the other thing, okay? That materialism could have given rise to consciousness. If that's the case.
I wonder if he knows how retarded his logic is here. I wonder if he knows he's lying. The mind of the retard really fucking fascinates me, man. That's why I'm so fascinated with AI.
He's probably a fucking god. Like, how many subscribers does this guy have?
Oh, he's got like 70,000.
Yeah.
Oh, man's pretty popular.
Yeah, this is the sperm guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the guy that actually did the drinking of the fake sperm, but he coordinated the video.
And that means that the natural world fails. That means the atheistic world view, your view, that everything can be explained naturalistically, it fails.
Oh shit, we failed. According to
yeah.
this guy who's a Muslim. Surprise.
Rule book of everything.
It fails everything wrong.
Funny.
Book of everything. By atheism. Yeah, because we're the one with the rule book of everything, aren't we? Not the theists.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Quran's not a rule book of everything.
Yeah, Darwin wrote it. It's natural selection.
Oh yeah, because everything in Origin of Species was exactly right, except all the stuff that wasn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Darwin was actually anti-racist, despite the fact that most people say he was racist. There was lots of biological ideas about defining different what we would consider races as humans, or races of humans as different species back then. Like you'd have Homo something for black people and Homo something for Asian people. Darwin was anti that. So anyone that says he's racist because of like the subtitle of his book, they're just ignorant, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
If you look into it, like he opposed that idea. He when he says races, he's not talking about human races because he uses cabbage as a race. Anyway, let's continue. That's a massive tangent.
Basic thing, the absolute most basic thing about me, our personal conscious experience. So where on earth did it come from? Well,
Well, where on earth is actually a pretty apt question. Yeah, probably somewhere in Pangaea, which is kind of obvious because everything. Well, no, the ocean's not in Pangaea. But yeah, on Earth.
Can't provide naturalistic explanation, and
Yes, we can.
it's not like science is one day going to tell us there's a naturalistic explanation, because that'll be science.
Yeah, 'cause science never comes out with new theories and new inventions ever. Science just usually stays the same. They read the same old book every fucking day. We never advance, right? That's what science does.
It's interesting. He's said the science of the gaps, where I've never heard this before. This is interesting, right? So I guess it's when atheists say, we don't know how to explain that yet, but one day I'm sure we'll figure it out. Like, that maybe that does sound to theists like them saying, we don't know how to explain it, therefore God sounds to us. The difference is that there is no reason to suggest the existence of God, even when there's a gap. But we know science exists, we know it fills gaps, and in this case especially, neuroscience is progressing very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's far more reasonable to us, I mean, infinitely more reasonable to assert this science of the gaps idea. That's an unapt name, but this guy's dishonest, so, or he's just really stupid, so it's not surprising. I don't mean to insult you, by the way. You're probably a nice guy, but this is a debate, and you're really not impressing me.
Established that science is a way to measure and find out and discover things about the natural world. Discussion about the natural world. It's supposed to be.
Science could apply to the supernatural world if the supernatural world was measurable. But I suppose you would define it as immeasurable. But by that definition, you can't know it exists.
Different topic, science, it descopes it. So we have to refer to a supernatural explanation. And this is why Islam makes sense of consciousness. In fact, Allah tells us in the Quran, I gave you intellects, I gave you ability to think, I gave you cognitive faculties.
Okay, but none of that is actually consciousness.
Well, now he's going to my definition of consciousness.
Well, it's not even that. Like, this is not even awake, and it's not the first person perspective either. This is just the functions of the brain. Intellect is like a property of cerebral potency. Thinking is, I mean, you could, depending on your interpretation, you could say that any animal thinks. That's actually pretty common parlance too.
Well, no, they say animals act on instinct.
Yes, but you can still describe an animal as thinking something. A thought doesn't necessarily have to be one you have consciously in semantic use. But I think usually it's interpreted as a conscious thing. So that one definitely goes the closest to consciousness, but it would be possible to think without having a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Consciousness. I gave you a soul.
Does he actually say consciousness in the book? I mean, does it translate directly to that word? I don't know. It might do. This is the claim, by the way. But yeah, he's thrown the word soul in here, and obviously he hasn't proved the existence of the soul. He's just asserted that science can't explain it, therefore God, therefore soul. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I've misrepresented his logic there. That's pretty much what he said.
Yeah, well, pretty much. He can't measure any of that. Can you lick a soul?
That needs to be a mem.
Yeah, mem.
You have to spell it. You have to spell it wrong. You have to put SOLE. Can you lick a soul? And it shows you. You know I'm giving them ideas now. You know the picture of you with the champagne. It has to be like a freeze frame of you with your tongue out while you're saying something, holding the champagne. But when they change the champagne to like the sole of a shoe, it looks like you're about to lick it. Can you lick a soul? That's the next meme. Atheist dinosaur, if you're still in the chat, get your people on that. He's not by the looks of it. If any of you are,
I think he left a little while ago.
Yeah, it's all right. It might surprise you to hear I don't really mind. Let's keep going. This is about It's almost over.
We get ready to ponder, to reflect, to experience, to have feelings. Several numerous verses that explain this to us.
That claim this to us. I want this a similar thing.
But even though I've done that, you'll find many of them are ungrateful. Many of them
Ungrateful. Yeah, that explains it. Yeah, it's not that I don't think he exists. I just am ungrateful. So in this guy's opinion, everyone who claims to be an atheist is actually a mesotheist. We all know that God exists.
hate
We just
Allah.
don't like him. Yeah. No, Allah. I don't like Allah. I know Reiki Allah. Luckily, racism doesn't get you kicked off YouTube
Yeah. No, I gave it to them.
yet.
But they still deny me. They still turn away from me. And what's amazing is that Allah says,
How can you turn away from something that's everywhere?
the 51st chapter of the Quran, وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ.
Excuse you.
Do you want evidences? Do you want signs?
Oh,
Do you want
that's
miracles? It's inside of you. So,
Don't learn things. Just fucking believe.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Theology. It's pretty
my
shit.
most blatant signs are inside you. You can talk a miracle yourself. So how are you going to
That's true.
reject Allah? So I request you, please come back to that.
I'm going to reject Allah because I'm a walking, talking miracle. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Allah, affirm Him as the one true God and worship Him. Affirm if He created you, He owns you. He gave you consciousness, He owns your consciousness. He owns you.
Well, I'm seceding from his control, so he doesn't own me anymore.
Yeah.
Ownership is a social construct. Yeah. Ownership is a social construct, and so societies define it. If God has his own definition, I don't fucking respect it. So, no, he doesn't own me. Objectively. Because, I mean, there is no objective to it, so... I mean, you can't objectively own someone, so objectively no one owns anyone.
Yeah.
And once you have a relationship with Him, single Him in.
Sorry, not gay.
I didn't know Allah is a man. Alan is a man.
well,
I guess Alan would be a man.
Yeah, I guess Ara could be either or both. But to be fair, relationship doesn't have to mean sexual relationship. It just, is better when it does. But God doesn't seem like he'd be cool in that way.
Worship Him alone. Don't worship this world. If you turn away from this reminder, then know that Allah.
How about don't worship anything,
Mm-hmm.
except in very specific situations where it's
What are you talking about? I worship Richard Dawkins all the time. Every day I say my prayers.
typical morning of an atheist.
Logic blessings.
Yeah, but that's immediately followed by worshipping Jacqueline Glenn. Or is that no longer part of your morning routine now?
Oh yeah. It's not more of worshiping as an exercise, really.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Allah said in chapter 20 of the Quran, turn away from my signs, you will live a depressed life. Yeah. That's why if you look at the Scandinavian countries and countries that.
What's that?
He said he's okay. Let me. He said okay. I cut out. So let me just go back a bit. I can do this again.
Quran, come turn away from my signs, you will live a depressed life. Yeah. That's why if you look at the Scandinavian countries and countries like Japan, which have the highest atheist rates, they also have the highest suicide rates because they're not.
That's probably because actually, some studies show that. I think all studies show that Denmark is the happiest country in the world. And that's pretty fucking atheist. High suicide rates don't necessarily align with low happiness in total. Obviously, there's likely to be a correlation, but the happiest nation in the world could conceivably have the highest suicide rates. But yeah, I mean, that is a strange fact. I don't suspect that atheism is connected with high suicide rates. I think it's more likely that those countries, with the exception of Japan, it's pretty boring. Like the Scandinavian countries are pretty fucking boring.
Well, atheism in a minority, like making up like 5% of America, maybe that has something to do with them killing themselves all the time, is the atheists that were raised and indoctrinated and rejected from their families, or usually the transgender community, which also overlaps with the atheist community.
Yeah.
A lot
That
of
makes
those
sense in the
count
past.
as atheistic suicides.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue the crossover between atheism and other not generally tolerated types of person, both because if it's an intellectual thing, they're likely to be, if they're more free thinkers, they're likely to be atheists, and if it's a physical thing, they're more likely to have been outcasts and therefore not followed the flock and therefore become atheists. So yeah, you could argue that. And Japan, how would I explain a high suicide rate in Japan? I don't know enough about that culture really. Or, yeah, it might be. It might be that simple actually.
Yeah,
Good
well,
point, Josh.
it's just cultural. It's you upset your family, they don't like you anymore, you kill yourself. It's the only way to redeem yourself.
Yeah,
Your
definitely is
your
that.
life becomes shame, and then you just have to end it. You
True.
just honor your family, then you just samurai sword to the gut, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's probably what it is. Yeah, I would be actually interested to find out if there is a link between atheism and high suicide. But I mean, that doesn't make any difference to how true it is. So I'm just making an emotional appeal here. But that would be interesting. I would be surprised if there was a better explanation for all of this, though. And there's also the fact that I won't argue that theism can make people happier, because have you ever heard the term blissful ignorance? Like sometimes these truths are difficult. If you're not sort of really interested in the beauty and the grandeur of science and existence, like sort of new atheists and most atheists who are in countries where they get an opportunity to do that and where they're intellectually stimulated, then the universe can seem like a bland and dull place until you actually learn about it. So I can understand some forms of atheism being like really depressing, but the solution to that is better atheism, not theism. We're near the end, but if you want to stop here, we can.
Might as well. We've gone like over 2 hours now.
Oh shit! I guess we spent too long in this video. I should probably write articles and some of the philosophical stuff that we've raised here because I need to do that.
Nice.
All right, folks. Contact me on Twitter if you want links to any of these videos. Otherwise, thanks for watching. This was very impromptu. Sorry for all the problems we had. Hopefully, it was watchable anyway. We might do this again sometime. Hopefully, we get it right with all the technical stuff. But I can't guarantee my internet's going to hold up.
Try to clear up the audio for next time, and I think that we're going to be doing another one next Sunday, so stay tuned for that.
Let's hope so. Yeah.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Thanks for watching, folks.
Peace out.